Of the 10 million shows on Netflix, the fact that everyone still collectively watches and tweets about Stranger Things every season is no coincidence. There's the nostalgic 80s feel, the great characters like Steve and Max and Steve.
Well, it wasn't popular until I made it popular.
The production values are so pristine they make Disney Plus shows look like the Ewok Adventures TV movies. But something about this show has been eating away at me more and more as each season goes by. Every time a faceless monster shows up from the upside down, I mean literally faceless, and starts killing people as our protagonists figure out how to stop it. The formula works, but after the third time in a row you start to want an enemy with a little more meat on its bones. And finally, 4 seasons in, Stranger Things has delivered the terrifying and complex villain the story deserves with Vecna. When Stranger Things 4 starts, there doesn't seem to be too much new. The characters are adjusting to their lives after the previous season when mysterious deaths start occurring. I'm enjoying it, but I'm not expecting much we haven't already seen from the show. We see Vecna for the first time. His more human design and the fact that he can speak was already more exciting for me, as it shows he can be more than just a plot device and have discernible motivations. Also encouraging was the visual style and eerie design around Vecna, the awesomely gross practical costume, the ominous ticking clock, the weird noise that goes... You know the one. It all adds to the atmosphere, making the viewers feel overwhelmed like the characters are. But beyond all these cool details is something much more fascinating that develops around the character. What he represents. Vecna is essentially the personification of depression. He literally becomes a voice in victims' heads, telling them they don't deserve happiness.
It's like he only sees the darkness in us, so I'll just run in the opposite direction.
He preys on characters by constantly reminding them of their trauma. No scene exemplifies the true meaning behind Vecna better than the now iconic Kate Bush scene in episode 4 where he attempts to take control of Max. Max is portrayed as much more distant at the start of the season, obviously disturbed by all the horrible things that happened to her last season. Everyone has experienced some sort of feelings that can make you relate to Max's struggles, which makes it feel much more tangible when Vecna is attacking the vulnerable depths of her psyche. As Max follows her pain, she becomes engulfed by the menacing depths of the Upside Down. The visuals and audio triggers sensory overload for the viewer between the crackling of lightning and the strung up bodies within a blood-red color palette. Thankfully, Kate Bush's voice is far too strong for Vecna to handle. Max chases towards her friends, not taking a second to look back at the horrors behind her. Have you ever gone to sleep feeling really tired only to wake up the next day feeling exactly the same? It's not your body that's tired, it's your soul. That's how Max escapes, by waking up her soul from the darkness of the Upside Down. It might be the most thrilling scene of the entire series, with the breathtaking visuals and action serving as a reflection of choosing hope over darkness. This is a level of conflict never created by a villain in the series up to this point. Stranger Things 4 understands that great villains don't just live in their own box. What makes them great is how they impact our protagonist's journey. The Dark Knight's Joker is fantastic for Heath Ledger's performance and clever dialogue, sure, but he never would have been as iconic if he hadn't created those challenges for Batman. Like when he's forced to choose between saving Harvey Dent or Rachel. Similar challenges are faced in Stranger Things as Vecna taunts the characters' feelings, getting inside their heads. This makes the conflict more personal, allowing viewers to get more invested in the safety of our protagonists. I was able to make a Dark Knight connection there, so you know I'm an expert on film analysis. The height of the danger surfaces when Max is forced to face Vecna without the power of Kate Bush in the finale, which leads to a mind fight between Vecna and Eleven. Speaking of Eleven, for most of the season I thought her subplot had nothing to do with the bigger story at hand, but that's where we get our big reveal about Vecna.
He was number 1!
Vecna having a similar backstory as Eleven and being the reason for her escape ties him to every season beforehand and makes us look back at the show with a new light. The scene where number 1 explains his outlook of humanity is what really cements his lack of remorse.
Humans are a unique type of pest. I could restore balance to a broken world. A predator. But for good.
The previous seasons had villains that were creatures, but Vecna is the first to truly be a monster. Vecna's ability to curse characters removes safety from the show. Wherever the characters are, Vecna could show up at any time. This is the root of an unrelenting sense of urgency. Even in the much needed moments of levity that brighten the mood and enhance our connections with the characters, there's always that feeling in the back of your head telling you that something really bad is about to happen. But that tension is why Stranger Things 4 never feels boring, even though every episode is so long they might as well be movies. You could get a baker's dozen of Obi-Wan Kenobi shows and it'd probably still be shorter than this. The Duffer Brothers always know how to bring you back in just when you think you're out, and that's why this season works regardless of its runtime. It's been great to see a show that hasn't been crushed under the weight of its pressure. Then there's the ending, where God forbid anyone relaxes for 5 minutes because Vecna is coming back with a vengeance for the final season, which I really hope resolves the series in a satisfying way. If there's anything to take away from Season 4, it's that even if the weight of the world is making you sink, what brings you back up for air could be as simple as a happy memory or the familiar notes of your favorite song.